Ladies and gentlemen, today we're in the all-new GR Corolla. This is the Core, which is the lowest trim. There's Core, Circuit, Maurizio, but this is fully loaded. We've got Performance Package, we've got Technology Package, we've got Cold Weather Package. What an interesting car. Highly anticipated because we don't get the GR Yaris in the States, of course. So we have the GR Corolla, a little bit larger, a little bit more practical. Has the GR4 all-wheel drive system, which allows for some trickery in terms of torque split front and rear, which we'll get into. This does have the Performance Package, which adds red brake calipers as well as front and rear LSDs. Gotta love these little vents. The Circuit has additional vents and spoilers and a little more aggressive styling, but even this, it's so wide and it looks fantastic. Oh, what's up, GR86? That's Fenton's son, Zygreen Channel, who's comparing that car to this car. 3 exhausts, gotta love that. 3 exhausts like the Civic Type R, but different layout, where the two are spread out. Roof racks installed by the dealer. Sitting behind myself at 6'1", it's kind of cramped in here, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, my knees are touching. I have to kind of spread and then I'm hitting this, not very comfortable. My hair, does touch the ceiling ever so slightly. Cloth seats in the Core Edition. If you want the Alcantara, the faux leather, you gotta go up to the Circuit. Powered by the same 1.6 liter 3-cylinder from the GR Yaris. However, it is making more power. In the GR Yaris, it makes 268 horsepower. In this application, we're making 300. And with that out of the way, let's see how she drives. This is the first and only properly Toyota GR performance car through and through. There's no Subaru, there's no BMW, just pure Toyota. Only comes in a 6-speed manual transmission, as it should. And this example is brand spanking new, 130 miles on the odometer. Big thanks to Glenn, the owner, for letting me review his car. If you're in the Las Vegas or San Diego region and you want me to review your car, then please do visit us on jubbalandcars.com and fill out the form there. Now, he did pay $5,000 over MSRP, which is actually not bad at all. But you have to keep in mind that he used to work at the Toyota dealership where he bought the car, so he has some connections, he had a better deal than most people would. First impression, steering is very light, lighter than I would expect. This comes with the Michelin Pilot 4S tires, 235 section width all around. If you go with the Maurizio edition, which you probably won't because it's only going to be 200, that comes with Cup 2 tires, and that additional grip does heavy up the steering a little bit. We're going to turn traction control off. Go, traction off. Using this dial, you can actually select the standard 60-40, 60 in the front, 40 in the rear in terms of torque split. You can go 30-70, so more rear bias, which is what I personally enjoy. And then you press the button, it goes into track mode, which is 50-50. That's for if you want to be setting the fastest track times and the most grip. So let's go into 30-70. Pretty good suspension, actually. It's compliant. It's not too harsh. This car is actually pretty comfortable, and this road is not the smoothest by any means. Pedals are a little bit far apart for heel toe. It's still not a problem. I have larger feet, so it's easier for me, but I notice that they are separated quite a bit. Nice and notchy gear shift. Cable linkage, of course, and you can kind of feel that. engine is quite quiet. You actually get a lot of torque. It has 278 pound-feet of torque, unless you go with the Marito, of course, which is 295, starting around 3,000 RPM. So standard turbo behavior, get a little bit more of that oomph down low, and it does die off a little bit as you approach redline. Yeah, great body control, despite having pretty soft and supple suspension. They did a great job tuning. Really like the brake feel. There's a nice bite, very easy to modulate. Steering feedback is a bit lacking. It is an EPS, and I mean, there are better and worse EPSs. This is probably about average. I find that anytime you have power being sent to the front wheels, it tends to numb out some of that steering feel. Wow, I didn't realize how fast I'm going. This makes speed effortless. This is just wow. Throttle response is a little bit it's a little bit inconsistent with the turbo. When I'm trying to heel toe at lower RPMs, I really need to give it, more throttle. A little bit easier to heel toe at higher RPMs. Gear selector is actually pretty good. It feels a little bit notchier than my GR86, a slightly more mechanical. And there's very little lateral slop. Throws are a little bit longer than I would like, but it feels tight. It feels proper. This car will hit 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds. It weighs 3,269 pounds. Nice. And it handles its weight pretty well, actually. Very similar weight to the Honda Civic. Now, if you saw the Throttle House drag race, you'll see that both cars weigh similar amounts. They both put out very similar power numbers. The Civic's a little bit up. I think it's about 315 versus this 300. And because of the all-wheel drive system, this will beat the Civic from a dig, but the Civic beats this from a roll. The chief engineer says that the car was designed with the concept of stability at the forefront. Now, even with the 3070, I chose 3070 because I love power oversteer. I want to be able to talk about the driving dynamics with regards to rotation and such. I'm booking it on some of these corners, and it's very stable. It's a very approachable car. It makes you feel comfortable pushing it, and there's times when I'm surprised how fast I'm going because it just feels so easy and so effortless. It's not a car that's easy to actually steer with throttle, if that's what you like. It is a front-wheel drive based all-wheel drive system, even though you can send torque to the rear, and it does behave more like a front-wheel drive hot hatch. It's very stable. It is a little bit more understeer than oversteer prone. It's pretty neutral with a slight leaning towards understeer. Sometimes getting a slight grind, getting into third gear. Not sure what that's about. Yeah, it's pretty stable. See, I'm trying to get that tail loose a little bit, but it wants to just stay planted. We're in 3070 still. Let's see if she'll dance. Stability. Yeah, it's difficult. I'm like really, you know, trying to be aggressive with it too. Get some of that weight transfer, and it is just stable. It does not want to kick the tail out. You'd have to really push it hard or do something stupid to really hold any sideways action. Probably something more fitting for the track. A few more things with regards to the actual driving dynamics. The turn-in isn't as immediate as I would like. The steering ratio is actually totally adequate. It's decently fast. It feels appropriate for the car. But it's more a matter of the suspension components being a little bit softer. So there's some of that play before you actually start moving direction. It's a slight thing, and I think it actually fits the character of this car fine, because you're going for a hot hatch, you're going for a rally car feel, you're not going for S2000 levels of sharpness. All the inputs are surprisingly light. Even the clutch pedal is pretty light. It has a good amount of travel too, probably more than I was expecting, definitely more than my GR86. The shifter is nice and mechanical, but it's very light. It doesn't take much effort to get into a gate. Steering is obviously very light. Throttle and brakes, also pretty light. But everything's well matched. Nothing feels out of place in terms of the inputs. They're pretty consistent. Visibility is nice. This car has nice large windows, hatchback. It doesn't have too high of a belt line. Interior definitely does not feel nearly as premium as a Civic Type R. But it's still a very nice place to be. Good materials. The faux leather on the steering wheel feels nice. This feels pretty cheap. But things feel decently well built. Again, this car's brand new, 147 miles now, but we don't have rattles everywhere. We don't have things that are loose or feel terrible. This is a nice soft touch down here. The Civic Type R FL5 does have a nicer and more premium interior. It has better, more upscale design and also nicer materials. The other thing is that the seats in the Civic are more comfortable. They have great lateral bolstering, lateral support, while also maintaining that level of comfort and daily drivability. And finally, the seating position in the Civic Type R is a little bit lower, more sports car, whereas in the GR Corolla, you feel like you're a little bit too high. Now, when it comes to actually buying the car, here's the problem. What makes for a great hatchback, right? You need to have the performance. This definitely has the performance. Very impressive from a performance perspective. But other parts of a good hot hatch include, of course, practicality. In terms of practicality, the Civic definitely is more practical. Even though they weigh the same, the all-wheel drive system on this adds a few hundred pounds. So that's why this is much smaller and yet the same weight as the Honda Civic. Not nearly as practical. But then the last thing, affordability. And here's where I have a problem with this car. The car starts MSRP $37,000. This one with all the options, again, this is a fully loaded core. This comes out to $39,000 plus destination, $40,000. You can get the Circuit beginning at $44,000 and you can get the Maurizio at $51,000. Here's the thing, guys, you're probably not gonna get any of these at MSRP, at least not for a long time. And actually from Toyota themselves, here's what they said. This is the Vice President of Marketing, Mike Tripp. I wouldn't say the limiting factor on these vehicles is our ability to produce them. It's being very careful to make sure that we maintain the niche credibility. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe, you know, I'm jumping to conclusions with what this guy is saying. It sounds like they're limiting production on purpose to maintain some level of desirability. But then he said, so if you do the math, and this is no guarantee, if we have a special edition for every dealer, yada, 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 1,250-ish. So when you have a total volume of somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000, and a special edition that's 1,250 of that, we think that's the right balance. But one too few will be our goal, just not because of production limits. Now that is pretty shitty if I do say so myself, especially for a car, a Toyota, which is supposed to be accessible to the people. So is the car worth it? Most of you are probably going to be buying either the Core or Circuit. If you get the Maurizio, keep in mind that they remove the rear seats, they remove the speakers in the rear, they add a bracing bar for rigidity. You get the lighter forged wheels, you get the stiffer suspension, stiffer all around, but especially in the back, which actually makes it more oversteer prone, at least more so than the Core and Circuit, which have identical performance setups. But in this Core and Circuit, it's still very fun to drive, but it's not fun in the sense that that car is because of power oversteer. It's actually very difficult to get this to power oversteer on public roads, but it's still fun because it's so ridiculous with its performance. It's actually quite impressive. I was booking it. I was going a lot faster than I expected because it makes things feel effortless. The inputs are nice and well balanced. It's not the sharpest, it's not the most hardcore, but if you are interested in a performance vehicle and you want to have something that's accessible, a learning tool where you can grow with the car, then this is just, it's hard to beat. The Civic is priced at $44,000 MSRP. The GR Corolla Core is at $37,000, but if you go up to the Circuit, it's also $44,000. However, you gotta keep in mind, with the markups, it's kind of uncertain which one is gonna actually be cheaper. Overall, I would say that the Civic, it is a more practical vehicle. You have more space in the rear, you have a larger trunk, it is a larger vehicle overall. The Civic also has the advantage of being more driver focused. It's a little bit more engaging, a little bit more, it almost feels like a track car light that you can take on the road. It's very stiff, it's very engaging with all its inputs. Whereas the GR Corolla is a little bit more of a daily driver that happens to be very capable. It's very fast, but it's not quite as engaging and rewarding to drive in the same way as the Civic. So can't fault you for choosing either one. Both have their own pros and cons, but overall the Civic has the advantage of being a little bit more engaging, a little bit more fun, and a little bit more practical, whereas the GR Corolla has the benefits of all-wheel drive, of which there are substantial, and it is a more comfortable car to drive on the roads. But let me know, what would you guys get? GR Corolla, Civic Type R, Golf R? Let me know with a comment down below. If you guys haven't subscribed already, make sure you do, because I'm doing a separate video comparing this car to that GR86. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you guys in that next one.